All right, recorded started. Hi, everybody. I'm Meredith Leodejano. I'm from McGraw-Hill Education. Thanks for joining us today. And Erica Lowe is also on my team. She's joining us from Brooklyn, New York. And then we also have Lakeisha Nickinsgather. Did I pronounce your name correctly, Lakeisha?
You did.
Sure. From Montgomery College in Maryland. So we're all here to support you through this transition as you get started from moving your face-to-face courses online for the fitness and wellness program. So that's the agenda today. We're just here to support you through what is definitely one of the most interesting transitions I personally have ever seen. Just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. We know that you're inundated with student questions, getting started yourself, being tasked with maybe moving your course for the very first time online. So we can definitely break this down into a manageable program that will get you started up and running quickly. So don't worry. That's the goal of this session. Once we're through, you'll have all the tools you need to get started and get everything that you need for that transition. So that said, what we're going to do, just a couple little housekeeping items so that you're aware of the WebEx format. So you've been muted on entry to allow Lakeisha the opportunity to share all of her best tips around how she has successfully managed her course online. She's going to share all of the features within our courseware that you can use for this transition. And then we'll open it up for questions. So as you go through and you think of a really good question, don't let that question, fade into the distance. Please feel free to type it into the chat. There's a chat feature in WebEx on the right-hand side of your screen. There's also a Q&A box. Either one, you can type those in, and I'll keep monitoring those. When we get time for questions, we'll turn it over to Lakeisha so that she can answer them too. So that said, hopefully you get a lot out of this, and I'll turn it over to Lakeisha, and I'm going to start sharing my screen so that she can see our Connect course.
Okay. So, I first want to say thank you for joining the webinar, and I hope everyone's actually safe and healthy out there. I know many of us are out there scrambling, trying to figure out how we're going to get our classes online and how we're going to make the best of the situation so that our students can get the best out of the course with the remaining time that we have. But one of the things that I want everyone to keep in mind is that this is definitely a stressful situation, not only for us, but also for the students. So when we're assigning these assignments, that we want to make sure that we keep that in mind, that they're not too long, because many of the students have a lot of other classes, and this is new to you, and it's probably new to them. So I just, want to make sure that we keep that in mind, that we all stay healthy, because if we stress ourselves out, then, we obviously make ourselves more vulnerable. So I've been using Connect for about 5 years now in various courses. So not just fitness and wellness, but I also use it in our nutrition course. So I'm just going to share with you a couple of things that I do to make the course easy for students to navigate, especially for those that are new to the online learning. One of the things that I found that was McGraw-Hill with Connect is actually very user-friendly. And so a lot of the features are, you can pick up one very quickly. And also there's a lot of resources available. So you have a lot of content that you can go back and review. And you also have us available to kind of guide you along the way. So with that being said, one of the things that I start with in the course is I actually use the Connect orientation. So I actually assign the Connect orientation to students because it actually has videos on, it's an introduction on how to actually use Connect. And so Meredith is going to guide you to where that's located. And so so the students are able to watch a video on how to use Connect. Then they answer questions based off of the video. In addition to Connect, it also gives them videos on SmartBook, which is something that I'll explain in a little bit. and then in addition to that, how they can actually use the information that from their grades and analytics from SmartBook, they can use that information to go back and study. So with the Connect orientation videos, they should be able to get a better understanding of how to use the course, and it may ease some anxiety with the students by implementing this orientation video. All right, so we can go back.
All right, so I'm gonna cancel out of that. Just
Okay.
so you know how easy it is to get to that portion, I've kind of flew through that, but it's through Add Assignment, Question Bank, and then the Connect orientation videos are right there, and you just click Select, and all of those are available. And you can select any one of them or just a few that you wanted to share with students and add it as an assignment.
And I actually give points to that, so that way it makes them go. They actually have to go and do it to get the points. And students, those are like the freebie points. So they go in and they do it, and that way it eliminates a lot of questions from the students in terms of how to use Connect or the SmartBook.
Okay. Really good idea.
So we can go ahead and just start with chapter 1.
Sure.
All right, so the next assignment that I usually use is Learn Smart. So Learn Smart will take you take the students to the Smart Book, and the book is actually really smart. It gathers information based off of how the students read and answer questions.
Doesn't like my maiden name.
That's okay.
We won't tell anybody.
That's all right. All right, so the students have access to SmartBook. They also have access to an ebook that they can use offline as well. So, so the SmartBook, in the SmartBook, there's highlighted text, and that highlighted text are things concepts that you want them to focus on. And you can actually assign different concepts that you want the students to focus on. And that highlighted text is what you see there. So I recommend that students read the textbook first before actually going to the Learn Smart assignments, which are what we call practice assignments. So as Mary is going through that, you can see the main concepts are highlighted in each section. Students can also use at the bottom, they can go to the next highlight. So they don't have to scroll. They can hit next highlight, and then it'll take them to the next section that's highlighted. All right, so once the students read the chapter, then they go to practice, and this is, I actually give this assignment, the Learn Smart assignments are actually given points as well. And this is a way for students to actually get a better understanding of how they have retained the information that they've actually read. So based off of how much time you assign them or which concepts you assign them, that'll indicate how many questions or items that the students get. And so if you look at the bottom of the page, you'll see that there's 62 items. So the students, based off of this assignment, they were assigned 62 questions related to the content that was in chapter 1. So when the student answers the question, and we'll just do a random answer, you can choose any random answer.
I think so.
Okay, so the students like to answer, they say what their confidence level is, and that's how information is fed back to SmartBook in terms of what they feel confident about and how they actually answer the question. So right here, the answer was wrong. It obviously tells you what the right answer is. If the student is having trouble with these questions, they can go back to read about this, which is up on the right, top right. and it takes them exactly in the chapter where where the information is for that question. So it takes them back, they read about it, and then they can go back and practice again. So one of the things that I want to point out is that that question was wrong. And so if you notice at the bottom, there's still 62 items left. So the students have to get all of the questions correct in order to complete the assignment. So if they give up and they only do 42 items, then they don't get the full points. However, they are given partial credit for the amount of time that they spend in it.
Yeah, so the system starts to adapt to what each individual student needs at any given point in time and their level of mastery, right? So
Right.
my assignment probably would take me 50 minutes and Lakeisha might take 20 minutes because she's an expert, right?
Right. Right. So, by one of the things that I've learned over the years is that you want to make sure that you emphasize reading the chapter first, because what students sometimes will do is go in and try to answer the questions, and then they spend 2 hours going through question after question after question and trying to go back and read about this, when the whole purpose is for them to actually read the content first and to reinforce that content through the questions that are there. And so I emphasize that a lot with students. So on the left, there is a way that students can look at their progress. Yes. Okay, so they can go to reports, and then they can look at progress based off of these topics. So they can look at what their current learning status is, the topic that the scores based off of the topic, any missed questions that they had, it will show them and show them the answer and where in the textbook they can go back and look for it. They can also look at the most challenging learning objectives that they had. And so then they can also go back and self-assess. So they can, after they completed the Learn Smart assignment, they can go back and they can actually work on those concepts more by doing a self-assessment. Or on the left, there's also additional quizzes that they can take if you go scroll down from the reports on the left.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Just quiz. There we go, right?
Right. So, so I always encourage students to do practice quizzes. So in my course, not only do I assign them Learn Smart, but I also assign quizzes. And so before they take the quiz, I suggest that they go take a practice quiz, and that way they can select the chapter, and then they can select how many questions they want to choose from that. And I always recommend that they go back and they do a practice quiz before they actually take their assigned quiz for the chapter. All right. If we can go back to the book, actually, I want to point out the highlighting that the students can do.
Okay. So the coach sometimes comes up too.
Right. All right. So let's say there's a section or something that they saw and they wanted to take notes. They thought it was important, or maybe they had a question about it. The students can actually highlight text and save it to review later. Okay, so the text is highlighted there. And then, so they can put a question mark, I don't get it. They can write a note. They can bookmark it to come back to it, and save it. And they have access to that on the left menu. They can all go back to all of their notes that they have.
Do we want to know how to assign a LearnSmart assignment?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So if we go to add assignment, and then you select LearnSmart, and then you select the chapter.
So we just did chapter 1, assuming we'll move into chapter 2.
All right. So in chapter 2, so if you notice that there are boxes that are checked off, those are all the topics in the chapter. You have the ability to tailor that to your needs. So if you want to scale back a little bit and not cover all the concepts, you can uncheck the boxes. And then you can also change how much time students are spending on LearnSmart. So one of the things that I do, if my course is completely online, I assign at least 45 minutes of content. And for a blended class, I would do half of that. So since the students are at home, I would give them at least 45 minutes of content at least, so that way they can reinforce some concepts. And so if you notice, when we change the time, it changes how many items are actually covered.
Yeah, so I'm sliding it up and the learning items go up, sliding it down to that 45-minute, and then they went down to 60.
All right.
And then let's say we're good, right? 45 minutes.
So then we would
points.
assign a points, and you can do that based off of your course. Each course is different. So then you would assign, and then you would choose which date you want it to be due on and which date you want to make it available to students.
We'll say coming up this coming Friday.
All right.
12 o'clock p.m.
All right. And then you select the sign.
And then it will now appear within chapter 2.
Yep.
Here it is.
Yep, there we go.
All right, so that was easy.
Yep. All right, so other things that we can do, we can go to add assignment again. So there's other assignments that are available because we transitioned online. If some of your classes were a mixture of lecture and activity, there are lab activities that students can do at home. So in the question bank, if we select, we're already in labs. If let's go to chapter 4.
Just for the record, I just chose full chapter content here, so that's how you would get to the labs. And then,
all right, so we'll go to chapter 4. And so you can go to lab activity on the left to filter out what is shown here. So there's 9 different activities that you can do in this chapter. Obviously, some of these the students wouldn't be able to do at home. For example, the bench press test, because not everyone has access to that. However, there's the push-up, there's a curl-up test. We look at muscular endurance, and so let's select push-up test. So I want to.
Oh, you just want to show it?
I want to give them a view of what it looks like.
Perfect.
So, for the push-up test, so it gives the actual instructions on how to do the push-up test. So the equipment that they need, what type of preparation. It takes them all the way through selecting gender, and then they would input how many push-ups they did, and then they're able to select their rating based off of the chart listed there. So that would be a good assignment that you can assign at home, provided that they've filled out a PAR-Q ahead of time. And if not, that's something you probably you may be able to do online.
I'm tempted to do that one later.
All right.
Do you want me to go back to that one? So the push-up test?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so we'll assign a push-up test. So we would add individual as an individual assignment. And then once again, we would label it push-up test. And then you will give it a start date and a due date. And so you can assign it as homework or practice, however you like. I would normally do this as a homework assignment. So one of the things that I like about this, if we go to accept late assignment submissions, you can edit if you want to accept late submissions or not. So you can change how you accept late submissions. If you don't, then you would go automatically submit assignments on due date. If you do, you can do a reduction of percentage of points based off of the hour or the days that it's late. The other thing is if you expand the advanced settings, for the push-up test, we obviously would give a time limit as to how long they can stay in that assignment and complete it. Is not an exam, but if you wanted to, you could change the time limit to it. For attempts, for homework, I always allow students to do unlimited attempts, because sometimes if they open the assignment and then they want to look at what they have to do, and if they close it and they don't have an unlimited attempt, it may submit and then they're going to email you. And so to eliminate that, I would make homework assignments unlimited. And so they can either start over or revise their previous attempt when they go back into the assignment. And so you would apply those settings. And then review and assign, and then I would assign that assignment.
And that's going to be within the lab activities in chapter 4.
Yep. Okay, so other assignments that are available to you, if you go to add assignment again and question bank. So the other things that we have available are if you have nutrition in your class, many of you probably use Nutrition Calc Plus at some point if nutrition was in your class. We have Nutrition Calc Plus, but we also have concept clips, which give students videos on certain concepts and questions to answer based off of those animated videos. One of the clips I like to use is the first one, the diabetes and glucose metabolism. So they get to watch the video, which is animated, and it also has closed captions, so it's an accessible assignment. So it'll go through and it'll give an animated version of diabetes and glucose. And then students are able to answer questions based off of those videos.
So these are the questions.
And you can choose, you don't have to choose all of the questions. You can choose one question per video, or you don't have to choose all of the videos. You can set it up how you want. If you go up to scroll up to the top, go to list.
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
So then you can select whatever questions you want to go along with those videos that you assign. So it doesn't have to be all of them. What I like, especially in a time like this, is that we do have these videos available to us because if you're not making videos of your lectures, this helps to reinforce those concepts that may be difficult for some students to understand.
Just a quick note, the M means a manual grading option for that particular exercise. So if you want to avoid manually grading any sort of written activity, best to avoid those short answer ones with the little M there. All the rest are auto graded.
Right. I forgot to mention that feature. Yes, that's probably
it at the bottom, but
the auto grading.
It's very tiny. Yes. So.
All right. So then you assign diabetes concept clip. All right, so same way we assigned the other ones, you would continue to do that, which makes it it makes it easy. All right, so then other assignments, we can do news clips. So the news clips actually focus on current events, and those are based off of topics that are in the chapters. So you can choose, in this one, I like to use, there's one on exercising. Fitness programming, actually. There we go.
Oh, fitness program.
Yeah.
Okay, filter.
Okay. So here, the first article is hate exercising. Short bouts could be just as effective. And so the students would click on the article there, and they're able.
Might be because I'm presenting. Oh, there we go.
There it is. Yep. So there's a video. Some of them are articles, some of them are videos. And so they will watch the video and then they would answer the questions based off of that video.
Yeah. So there's similar multiple choice here.
Yep. And those are auto graded. Sorry. I was praying that didn't happen.
It's a mailman. Nice.
The joys of working from home without doggy daycare.
Yes.
All right.
We're all in the same boat.
All right. All right. So
All right.
once again, you can choose how many questions you want and so forth. And all right. And then we give it a date.
A lot of work due later today. Better get cracking it.
Right. All in one day. And don't. I'm sorry, go ahead.
There was a question in the chat window for the different assignment types. If you choose the practice option, can the quiz still be timed?
So are you referring to the SmartBook practice assignments or?
I believe so.
So the SmartBook assignment, so the quizzes, when they're
from the question bank.
Right. Yeah, when they're practicing, I don't believe, I can't remember if they're timed or not. I don't think they're timed. but they do have a certain amount of questions that they have to answer. And I may be wrong.
I think that they were probably, if I could guess, they were probably asking about the timing when we showed them how to add assignment in the question bank, and then go to the parameters of, here, I'll show you real quick.
Okay.
So we went to full chapter content. Let's say we just want to make a really short quiz. And
Okay.
only use multiple choice questions for this example.
Yes.
Add all of them just for the sake of adding all of them. We would never do this to a student.
Right.
But if you can suspend your belief for just a second. Chapter 4 quiz. Yeah, we can make it a quiz. And then,
Yeah, so for that, you can time those quizzes. Yes.
yeah.
For the,
And I think we're going to the advanced options here, the time limit.
yes.
You wanted maybe a 30-minute quiz or something like that, if you wanted to do that. Good.
Right. I usually do a minute per question.
Okay, so there were like 80 something questions. Let's say there were 10, so 10 minutes. There we go. It's as easy as that. You just expand the options in the quiz feature. Sorry, the add assignment feature.
Yes. All right. So one of the things that's unique about this is that you have the ability to look at how the students are performing. And so if we go to reports, there's different ways we can look at it. We can look at the assignment results themselves, so we can choose a specific assignment. We can also look at a student's performance. We can look at students that are struggling. So we can do an at-risk report. And so the at-risk report,
there are students.
Students, right? So the at-risk report will show you students. It will be highlighted in red on students who haven't completed or spent enough time doing assignments. And so you can kind of give them a nudge. So especially during these times where, we're all stressed out as students, they might sit back and start binge watching a show and forget that they have an assignment. You can give them a little bit of a nudge when you see that they aren't completing assignments at the rate that they should. So
I was able to pull up a few samples, and there's a few samples in Learn Smart reports here. So these are specific only to SmartBook, but that gives you a good idea of who's just guessing for these too.
Exactly. So yeah, you can look at this report and you can see basically how many incorrect answers they have versus correct answers. You can also see how much time they spent in these assignments. And so that'll give you an idea, a good picture of if they're actually using it to learn or if they're just if they're going through the motions. So those students who spent, 3 minutes, or if I see a student that's spent, hours in it, then those are the students that draw red flags to me, because that means that they're probably going in and guessing on the questions. And so when they say, "Oh, I'm not doing well," then you can look at that and you can show them the report. You can take a screenshot and show them a report, and ask them if they're reading the chapters before they're doing the assignment, or are they just going through the motions and answering the questions. So you can see how much time they spent on different sections in the course. And that And that's a very good feature. I've had students come to me and say, "Oh, I'm reading the chapter, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I don't understand why I'm not passing the class." And then I look and I'm like, "Well, you only spent 10 minutes on chapter one, or you spent, 3 hours on the chapter on one assignment that had 10
Right.
questions." That you couldn't get right, and that was because you tried to guess the questions. So it gives them feedback, but it also gives you kind of real time. You can see what students are actually doing.
Excellent. Go
Um,
through your favorite reports a little bit in here.
sure.
Yeah. The most challenging learning objectives one is pretty good too.
Yes. So the most challenging learning objectives. So we look at chapter 4. We can see what sections in chapter 4 students are struggling. It gives them the page number so they can actually go back to review that concept by just going right back to that page number and not trying to skim through the entire book or read the entire book over or the chapter over again. They can just go to the areas that they are struggling with. The other thing I wanted to point out, Meredith, if we can go, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see it, to the main page, to my courses, to the roster.
Okay.
Students that need, who may need double time. So if you select on your main page when you log into to Connect, and you look for your course, if you select that little icon there that says roster, we don't have the roster here, I guess, but you can select a student and add additional time for students that have a disability support letter. So this also gives students that had that letter ahead of time, the opportunity to get additional time on assignments. Things that are not timed, I don't give them additional time, but things that I time, they would get the required time needed.
That's really helpful to know. Oh, just pointing out there might be some people who are interested in recording their own lectures, but you're not face to face.
Yes. So if you can record your own lectures. So if you select that, you have to download the software, but you can record your own lectures and you can post them where you want them, or in the lecture section, and title them so the students will know which chapter or where that information is located.
Yeah, awesome.
One
And
other.
now that I'm,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to point out because it was right there. There's also instructor resources if anyone
Exactly what
hasn't
I was
used
gonna
it before.
do.
On the same page.
You're right. So there's instructor resources. And so this gives you access to the PowerPoint, instructor manual, which gives you details off of each of the chapter. You have a test bank here if you wanted to do incorporate a test bank somewhere else. Images,
Yes.
and then the labs in PDF form. But if you're using Connect, a lot of the stuff you won't need, but the PowerPoints may be used to students since they don't have access to you. Maybe you want to record over the PowerPoint your lecture. Also, the test bank.
Oh yeah, sure.
Right.
Within Connect here in Add Assignment.
Yes. So if you go to the question bank, like we did before, and select test bank, and you select your chapter, you can choose, you can make your own exams that, if they don't have any manual graded questions in it, it's actually automatically graded for you. So you can select multiple choice, short answer, true, false. You can do it based off of learning objectives, off of Bloom's. You can choose certain topics that you want to use if you look on that menu on the left side. So you're able to design your exam how you want. So the same questions that were available to you inside the classroom are available online for you to make an exam online.
Great. And the same method applies too, which I'm not going to make the whole exam for them.
Right.
Be nice on this first day.
Right. And then there's lots of resources on how to deploy this to your LMS system. I use Blackboard, so is to me is very seamless because in Blackboard I just click McGraw-Hill and I sign in, and then I'm connected right there, and I can deploy my assignments into Blackboard, which sends all the grades from Connect into Blackboard. So one of the things that I use is I don't allow students to go to Connect to do their assignments. I make them do them through Blackboard, so that way I know that Blackboard and Connect are communicating, and I know that they saw my announcements and anything else that I have in my Blackboard course.
Yeah, if there's anybody on here listening that, doesn't have Connect paired with their LMS already, just feel free to fill out the forms that we are posting in the chat, and we'll connect you with your McGraw-Hill representative who will get you all squared away with LMS integration. So if you have Canvas, Moodle, if you also have Blackboard, all of the other LMSs that you might have, we can help with that too.
All right. So one last thing is that they're pre-built courses, so you don't feel like you have to build your own course. You can get a course sent to you that's pre-built, and you can edit whatever it is you want to take out of the course or whatever you want to assign or don't assign. So you have the option of hiding things from students as well. So if you look at that, click on that eye right there, it will hide the assignment from the student and have a line through it. And so anything that you don't want the students to see, you can select. So if you have a pre-built course, that option is available to you.
Yeah, so anybody on this call, if you're looking for a pre-built course like this, I can copy this over as long as you just fill out that form.
All right. Any questions? Do I have any questions anymore?
Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so I can see any questions that have come up.
Okay.
We did have one question about how to use the discussion board feature for assignments.
Okay.
Yeah, we could share that. Bring this back up. So yeah, so you can go to add assignment and let's see.
So
Trying to find where the best way to.
right, in this one, I don't see that feature in this course.
I think the best thing to do would be to probably just create your own assignment and then ask students to submit feedback within that. But using LMS for sure is a possibility too.
Right. Some of the Connect, depending on what book you have, it has a discussion feature or not. This one, I don't see it. So I don't use the discussions in my Fit and Well course. I use them in nutrition. But if the LMS is probably the best way to do that because they're more familiar with that, the connection to whatever LMS system that you're using. But you can add your own assignments too. So if you want to create a question or you want to attach a file, so if you want your students to go straight to Connect and use that Connect course from now on, you can add an attachment here. You can give them the instructions, how many points, and assign that to them as well.
You could also attach files here. And students can likewise submit files too. So if you wanted to have your students submit some type of video, like a selfie video or something like that, getting creative, however you wanted them to submit their feedback back to you, you can do that.
Yes.
Stop sharing so I can start seeing the chat again. What other questions came up? Anything else?
If we could unmute Ron, I think he had more questions about practice quizzes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I saw one other question real quick. Can I pull assignments from Fit and Well and add it into my nutrition course? That capability is not available right now. We can definitely come up with your own nutrition course too. So just out mailing if you have the time to just fill that out. So yeah, we got your question. Hopefully that answers it. You would just have to ask for a separate course for your nutrition course.
And there's tons of information in the nutrition course that is somewhat similar to what's in Fit and Well too. So.
Yeah. Great, Ron.
Okay. All right. Hi. Thank you, everybody. Lakeisha, fantastic. I've learned a lot, and I appreciate all of your work.
You're welcome.
The quiz portion I was concerned about was there was a part there where the students could actually opt to take practice quizzes.
Yes.
So that was a self-assigned activity. And so I was just curious about whether or not those were, or if I can prearrange or preset in settings that if they choose to do that, they could get some additional credit.
Okay, yes. So the ones that are where the students self-assign, because I pulled it up on my other computer, they're not timed. However, you could create an assignment where you have a practice quiz, and they have similar questions in there. So you would pull them from the test bank. Yes. And there's tons of questions in the test bank, so don't feel like you're going to run out of questions.
I agree, and I do that, and so I was aware of how to set up those quizzes, but the practice quiz I had never featured before. I actually learned something today about that. So.
Yes, the students love it because it helps them to prepare for exams, especially on my face-to-face classes. I show them that option as well. And so when they have to do multiple chapters to do an exam, they use that feature.
Yeah, I could see how it'd be very, very helpful. I've been using Connect Myself for about 4 or 5 years. This is the first time I've gone to a full online format. So it just feels a little different.
It is, especially, do you have an activity in your class? Like yeah. Physical activities?
We do.
Right, and so that's what makes it difficult during these times. And so that's where the push-up tests, the curl-up tests, that's where that's going to come in handy. And I forgot to show another feature. There are media videos available to you guys on various exercises as well. So if you select media, so not only do students have the instructions, but they can also get a video on how to do a push-up, modify push-up, and different concepts within the
burpees with a push-up.
Yes.
Getting fancy.
Right. The air squat. So if you want to assign the squat endurance test, you can show them air squats, and then that way they can see it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're great. I assign burpees to people that are late turning in assignments.
So they're very familiar then.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
Yes.
Anybody has anything else that comes up? I just wanted to reiterate that McGraw-Hill, the whole team here is here to support you, to help you. Lakeisha is also available for one-on-one consults if you're finding that you're really struggling through getting your course set up. that would be something that we could arrange if that is helpful. So just thank you, Lakeisha, for sharing all these great tips. I learned a lot too. So thanks for bearing with us through letting me click through a course and you steering me along the way. I know that you're the expert here, so just wanted to see if there was anything else that you wanted to share with the group before we wrap up.
Just like I said, take care of yourself. So don't feel like you have to assign so many things. It's new to you, or for some of you, it's new. And for the students, it's a new environment of all online. We all have families, and we're all, going through something at this time. And so don't feel like you have to give it, to throw a whole bunch of things out of there. Just focus on making sure you get the learning objectives covered. And that could be just through the Learn Smart assignments. I mean, you choose, but your students better than I do. But I just want to make sure you take care of you and not feel stressed.
Good advice.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to stop recording so that we can also share this with the rest of the colleagues that couldn't join us, or if you have anybody that you recommend that you want to see this, we can certainly share the recording after. So just know that's an option too. And so I've stopped the recording.